Welcome back, all you awakened savages. If you're on that journey to creating your desired reality, then this video is for you. Let me assure you, this will be the last manifestation video that you ever need to watch. I will be dropping some real life, no BS manifestation wisdom, so get that notepad and pen ready. See, most men have been lied to about manifestation. You've been told it's about making a vision board, lighting a candle, rubbing some crystals, and just believing hard enough. And that's why most men roll their eyes when they hear the word, because it sounds like a fairy tale for people who don't understand the real world. But here's the reality. Manifestation isn't magic, it's mechanics. It's about aligning how you think, what you believe, and how you act, so you become the kind of man who naturally attracts what he's looking for. And the stakes are massive, because whether you believe it or not, manifestation is happening in your life right now. Your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions are shaping your results. And if you're not getting what you want, it's because you're broadcasting the wrong signal. Right? Here's the difference between a grounded man and a drifted man. Right? A drifting man wishes his life was different. A grounded man builds that inner and outer conditions to make it inevitable. Right? This isn't about sitting in a room and vibrating higher. It's about rewiring the brain, setting your focus, and moving in a way that forces reality to respond. See, by the end of today's video, you will understand the real mechanics of manifestation, the science, the ancient wisdom, and the exact process for attracting what matters without the BS and the fluff. Right? Here's the thing. Most men fail at manifestation for the exact same reasons they fail at fitness, relationships, or business. They're inconsistent, they're unclear, and they confuse motion with progress. So let's break it down, right? They think it's just positive thinking, right? You can't positive think your way out of a deeply programmed belief that you're not worthy, or a lifetime of habits that sabotage your goals. Right? If your internal programming says, I don't deserve it, your brain will filter out all opportunities that would give it to you. Right? Now, that's not spiritual woo-woo. That's a Reticular Activating System 101. Okay? Also, they're addicted to the outcome, not the process. Most guys treat manifestation like ordering from Amazon. They visualize what they want, then they sit back and wait for it to arrive. And when it doesn't happen, they quit. And the truth, the results only come when the process becomes part of who you are, not just something you do when you feel motivated. Also, they ignore the inner work. Here's a paradox. You can't attract something you don't feel aligned with. If you want love but carry resentment, if you want wealth but secretly believe money is bad, you'll sabotage it the second it shows up. Your external reality will always match your internal identity, not your wish list. Right? Also, they manifest from fear, not from vision. Most men think that they're chasing what they want, but in reality, they're running from what they don't want. The problem? Fear is a terrible GPS. It makes you settle, shrink, play small, and you end up creating the exact conditions you're trying to escape. Right? Also, they confuse busy with aligned. Action is vital, but not all action is equal. You can spend years grinding in the wrong direction and then wonder why you still feel empty when you get there. Without clarity, your hustle becomes chaos and madness. Right? And here's the deeper reason all of this happens. Right? Most men never slow down long enough to actually examine what they believe, what they want, and why they want it. They just keep reacting to life instead of creating it. Right? Manifestation without clarity is like trying to tune into a radio station without knowing the frequency. All you're going to get is static. But we're going to strip away that static and show you how manifestation really works, biologically, psychologically, and energetically. See, once you understand the mechanics, you can finally stop drifting and start directing your life. Now, as I said, manifestation isn't magic, it's mechanics. When you strip away the Instagram quotes, the vision board cliches, manifestation is simple. It's the process of aligning your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions so consistently that reality has no choice but to catch up. So let's break it down on these three levels, right? The biological level, right? The body's operating system. Your body isn't just along for the ride. It's your antenna for creation, right? The reticular activating system in your brainstem acts like a filter. It decides what information gets through to your conscious mind based on what you think is important. That's why when you start looking for a specific car, you start suddenly seeing it everywhere, right? Your RAS has been tuned. And here's the thing. If you're constantly focused on problems, your RAS shows more problems. If you're constantly focused on opportunities, solutions, and what you want, guess what? Your RAS starts highlighting the people, the places, and the moments that match it. Right? Your nervous system plays a role in this too. When your body is stuck in fight or flight, right, high cortisol, tense muscles, shallow breathing, right, your brain narrows its focus for survival. You literally cannot see the big picture opportunities. That's why breath work, movement, and sleep are not just self-care extras, they're manifestation tools. Right, then we look at the psychological level. This is your mind's blueprint. Your subconscious mind runs but 95% of your daily actions. It's the silent architect of your reality. And here's the thing, it doesn't respond to what you say that you want. It responds to what you believe you deserve. This is why men who try affirmations, they'll often fail. They're trying to speak words to their subconscious, and their subconscious just does not buy it. Right? To rewire that blueprint, you need clarity, knowing exactly what you want in sensory detail. Right? The identity shift, acting as if you're already the man who has it. Repetition, feeding that new identity to your subconscious daily until it becomes automatic. Right? Ancient Stoics understood this through premeditatio malorum, right? Mentally rehearsing challenges so they could respond like the man that they wanted to be and not react like the man that they used to be. And then we look at it energetically, right? The ancient principles, the Hermetic laws in action, the law of correspondence, as within, so without. Your outer world mirrors your inner world. If you want different results externally, you must first shift internally. Right, for example, see a man who's constantly feeling disrespected, he will often carry an inner belief that his voice does not matter. If you change that belief, then his reality starts mirroring respect back to him. And if you look at the law of cause and effect, every cause has an effect. Every effect has a cause. This isn't karma, this is physics. See consistent causes, your action, your words, your emotional states, they create predictable effects over time. Like, for example, daily exercise and networking will inevitably improve your health and career, not instantly, but as a law of nature. And then we look at the law of vibration, right? Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Your thoughts and emotions carry a vibrational frequency, just like a tuning fork, right? Frequencies attract and amplify matching vibrations. For example, gratitude is a high frequency state, right? Spend time there consistently and you'll notice more experience to be grateful for, not by magic, but because your perception and your behavior shift to match it. So, how do these ancient laws and science work together? Right, the reticular activating system, that determines what you see. Your subconscious programming determines what you expect. Your vibration and actions determine what you attract and sustain. When all three align, when your focus, your beliefs, and your emotional state are all tuned towards a specific outcome, reality begins to shift to reflect that alignment. Right, this doesn't happen in an instant. Right, it's not mystical. It's a feedback loop. Internal change, external action, reinforce internal change, bigger external results. Right? The bottom line is manifestation is about becoming the cause, not waiting for the effect. And when you understand the mechanics, you'll stop wishing and start building. Right? Because manifestation is a signal. Right? It is a signal, and most men are broadcasting on a jammed frequency. Right? They think they're sending out clear intentions, but what's really coming through is fear, doubt, shame, unfinished business. And if we look at the biology of static, right, your brain has a survival first operating system. It's wired to detect threats before opportunities. Right? Fear activates the amygdala, your fight or flight center. When that happens, blood flow moves away from the prefrontal cortex. Right? That's the part of your brain responsible for vision, planning, decision making. In translation, right, if fear is running the show, you literally can't think expansively. And then we look at shame, on the other hand, that works far deeper. It shuts down dopamine pathways, right? The motivation circuits that make action feel rewarding. This is why shame doesn't just make you feel bad, it robs you of the drive to change. And then we look at unprocessed anger. That's like running a high voltage current through your nervous system 24/7. You will burn out before you build. Now let's look at the psychology of static. Right? Another reason men fail at manifestation is because they're trying to think positive over an identity that still believes, I'm not worthy, it won't work for me, something always goes wrong. Right? These beliefs live in the subconscious. And as I said, the subconscious runs 90 to 95% of your daily behavior. That means you can say all the affirmations in the world, right? But if your identity is not aligned, you'll unconsciously sabotage your own progress. This is why a man can set a goal and then procrastinate, blow opportunities, or self-destruct just before it starts to pick up some traction. Right? And then the energetics of static. Every thought, every emotion carry a vibration. If your dominant emotion tone is fear, doubt, or resentment, that's the carrier wave you're sending out. And like attracts like. This is not woo-woo mumbo-jumbo, right? It's the law of resonance. Energy patterns attract compatible patterns. So a man carrying shame will encounter people and situations that confirm that shame. A man carrying resentment will keep finding reasons to feel wronged. So how can we clear this static? We just can't think our way out of these blocks. We need to clear them at these three different levels. So if we look at the body, right, the physiology, right, we need to release stored tension. This is where breath work, cold exposure, intense exercise, anything that signals to the nervous system, we are safe now. When the body relaxes, the mind follows. And then we look at number two, the mind, the belief systems, right? Identify and rewrite the stories. Every time you hit resistance, ask, what would I have to believe for this to be true? Then deliberately install a new belief that supports your vision, right? And then number three, on the spirit, your emotional intelligence. Sit with your emotions, right? Especially the ones you've been avoiding, and not to wallow in them, but to witness and release them. Right? Ancient Stoics and modern therapists agree. What you resist will persist. What you face will fade. Right? Clearing the static is not glamorous. Right? It's the deep internal work that most men skip because it is hard, because it feels slow, uncomfortable, and humbling. But see, without it, right, you're just turning up the volume on a broken signal. Okay? And let's move on to the alignment triad, right? Because manifestation collapses without alignment. Most men think they can just want something badly enough and it will show up. But the truth is, you can't think one thing, believe another, and act like a third and expect to get what you want. That's like trying to row a boat with each oar pulling in opposite directions. All you're going to do is spin in circles. Right? And let's look at the three pillars to manifestation, right? And these must point in the same direction at the same time. Let's look at number one, your thoughts, your mental compass, right? So what are they? Right? They're the conscious focus of your mind. What you think about most is often what your brain will work to notice and attract. So why do they matter? Right? Your reticular activating system filters the billions of bits of information you could notice down to the ones that you've told are important. If you constantly focus on problems, your RAS will show you more problems. If you focus on solutions, guess what? Your RAS will feed you opportunities. For example, two men walk into the same networking event. One's thinking, no one wants to wants to talk to me. He notices every person who ignores him. The other thinks, I'm here to meet one person who can help me take my business forward. He spots that one person within 20 minutes. Okay, this is the power of it. Number two, your beliefs. They're your internal gatekeeper. And what are they? They're the subconscious programming you've built from childhood, from experience, from repetition. Right? You will never consistently achieve beyond what you believe you deserve or is possible for you. Your subconscious acts like a thermostat. If a goal exceeds your internal setting, you'll unconsciously sabotage yourself back down. Right, and we tie this into the Hermetic laws, the law of correspondence. Your outer results mirror your inner beliefs. So if you believe money is the root of all evil, you can think about wealth all day and take action towards it, but you'll keep finding ways to lose it because deep down you feel it's unsafe to keep. Okay, number three, actions. Your physical proof. Right, these are the tangible moves you make in the real world. Right? Action is the bridge between the invisible, your thoughts and your beliefs, and the visible, your results. Without action, everything's just fantasy. right? If you look at the law of cause and effect, nothing happens without a cause, and your actions are the cause, right? For example, you want to run a marathon, right? Your thoughts, you're excited. You believe I'm capable of finishing this, but you never train. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to expose the misalignment, aren't you? Right? So how do these work together? When all three are aligned, you're broadcasting a clear, unified signal. Right? Thoughts set the direction. Beliefs allow the goal to exist in your reality. Actions pull it into the physical world. When one is off, the circuit will fail. Right? If you have aligned thoughts plus belief but no action, daydreamer. Right? Aligned beliefs plus action but wrong thoughts, wasted energy. Aligned thoughts plus action but limiting beliefs, self-sabotage. Right? The goal here is to become a man whose thoughts, beliefs, and actions point to the same target. That's when manifestation stops feeling like trying and starts feeling like momentum. Okay? And let's move into probably the most important part of this video, which is the actual step-by-step alignment protocol. Because when your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and environment all pull in the same direction, reality has no choice but to shift. Right? Think of it like an archer lining up a shot. If your stance, your aim, your grip, and your breathing are not in harmony, the arrow will veer off target, no matter how badly you want that bullseye. Right? This protocol gets every part of you pointing towards the same end result. But first, you need to understand one of the most important things, right? The difference between a negative vision and a positive vision. Right? A negative vision is born from resistance. You're chasing something only because it's the opposite of what you do not want. Right? The energy is still tied to the problem, so you end up recreating more of it. A positive vision is born of pure desire. It's something that you would love to create just for its own sake, not to escape, not to fix. Right? It holds its own power in your consciousness. And let's look at some examples, right? So a negative vision example. You want to make £100,000 a year so you can finally get out of debt and stop feeling stressed about bills, right? The problem here is the driver here is escape from stress and debt. The focus is still on debt, the stress and the fear. So those patterns keep showing up, right? The emotional signal to the subconscious is I'm trapped, which keeps reinforcing the trap. Now, if we look at the positive example for that, I want to make £100,000 a year so I can fund my daughter's education, travel with my family twice a year, and invest in causes I believe in. Now, do you feel the difference in that energy? Because the driver here is pure desire, expansion, contribution, and joyful experiences. The focus is on what you love and what you want to see more of, not what you're trying to escape. Right? The emotional signal to your subconscious is I'm expanding, which attracts conditions that match that expansion. Right, let's look at another one just so we can cement this. Okay, so let's talk about purpose, right? I need to find a better job so I can get away from my boss who does not respect me. Again, the driver here is escape from disrespect. The focus is still on the boss, the frustration, the lack of respect. Right, emotionally, the subconscious is tuned to I'm underappreciated, which keeps attracting situations where you're underappreciated. Now, if we look at the positive vision of this, I want to build a career where I solve problems that matter, mentor young men, and create solutions I'm proud to put my name on. Right? The driver, energy again, right? It's different. The driver is expansion and contribution. The focus is on meaningful work, growth, and pride. Right? The emotional signal is I'm creating impact, which attracts conditions that match that impact. Right, the golden rule here, always choose an end result you would love to create simply because you would love to see it exist, regardless of how possible it feels right now. Okay, let's move into the protocol. Now, step number one. This is the most important step, obviously. You have to clarify that target, the true end result. Right? Most men are too vague with their goals. Right? Make more money, get fit, be happy. That's like telling a GPS, take me somewhere nice. Get specific. What would you love to create for its own sake? Right? What does it look like, sound like, feel like? What changes in your life when it's done? When you take this step, your reticular activating system filters reality to match your focus. The sharper your vision, the more your brain notices opportunity to make it real. Ties back into the law of mentalism. All is mind. Reality begins as a thought. Okay, step number two. This is where we create structural tension. Truth plus love pushes up wisdom, right? Energy always follows the path of least resistance. When you hold both your current reality and your vision clearly in mind, your mind naturally seeks to close that gap. So, this is where I want to go. This is where I am right now. That creates a structural tension, right? And as long as you remain focused on where you want to go, that will resolve. Okay, so you ask questions like, what would I love to create, right? Just because I would love to have it created. Now, where am I compared to that? Okay, so you've got your desired reality. This is what I want to create right now. This is my current reality. Okay, so that's it. Truth plus love. Then we get the wisdom. Okay, so the gap is the fuel. And this ties into the law of polarity. You must hold both ends of the spectrum, your current reality and your desired reality, right? And that will then create movement towards your desired reality. Okay, step number 3. This is when we tune emotional frequency. You have to feel it first, right? Emotions are the fuel for your vision. If your emotional tone says lack, you'll get more lack. Daily put yourself in the emotional state of having it already, right? Gratitude for it being done. Confidence in it's inevitably going to happen, right? Calm detachment from the how. Right, when you do this, the nervous system responds to imagined experiences as if they were real. It doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. So that builds neural pathways that make aligned action easier. And this ties into the law of vibration. Everything moves, so match the frequency of what you desire. Step number 4, you must be it before you see it. So this is the aligning your identity. Be the man before you have the thing, right? So my mentor said that you must be it before you see it. And I didn't get it at first, but now I do. Right? And this is a step that a lot of men fail at. They try to get something without becoming the version of themselves who would naturally have it. So this is where you replace old habits, beliefs, feelings with new ones so you can step into that new reality. Right? So you ask yourself, who would I be if this was already true? How would that man walk, talk, think, speak, act, decide? Right? Have a clear vision of that man in your head and then start showing up as him right now, because your subconscious won't allow you to keep anything that doesn't match who you believe you are. And this ties in with the law of correspondence, as within, so without. Right? Your outer world mirrors your inner world. Change the inner, the outer must follow. And then step number 5, take the next obvious action. This is where physics meets faith. Right? Manifestation without action is daydreaming. Right? Action without alignment is burnout. So every day ask yourself, and this is where the previous steps come in as well. So what would I love to truly create for its own sake? Right? Compared to that true end result, where am I now? Then you ask yourself, what's the next obvious action I can make today that moves me a step closer? And you will get an action. Whether you choose to take it or not, that's on you. But this is the important part. You will get an action and take it. Right? It doesn't matter how big or how small it is. Do that action, because even small, consistent actions compound. Right? And they signal to your subconscious, we're serious about this. And this ties into the law of cause and effect. Every effect has a cause, and you can be that cause through deliberate daily action. Okay, step number 6, design your environment. So make success the default. Right? Your environment shapes your habits more than willpower. Surround yourself with people who already live at your next level. Remove constant reminders of your old identity. Make the right choice the easy choice. Right? For example, if your goal is fitness, keep your gym bag packed and in sight. If it's wealth, have the money conversations with people who are financially ahead of you. When you do this, you understand that the environmental design you live in influences 40 to 50% of your behavior unconsciously. And again, this ties into the law of correspondence, right? Change the container, change the contents. Then we move to step number 7, static maintenance, right? Clear interference daily, right? Don't wait for blocks to pile up. Clear them as part of your routine. Breath work, meditation, that calms your nervous system. Journaling, right? To catch and rewrite limiting beliefs. Movement to release emotional residue from the body. Now, this ties into the law of vibration. You maintain your frequency through regular energetic hygiene. Okay, and step number 8, so important, surrender to the timing. Let go of needing to know, right? And this is the paradox. The more you try to force the when, the more resistance you create. Your job is alignment plus action. The how and the when are handled by a much larger system, right? The cause effect chain that you've set in motion. And this ties into the law of rhythm. Everything has a season, so trust the cycles. Right, now we've got the step-by-step protocol, but we need to understand manifestation is not just about mindset, right? It's about operating in harmony with the laws that govern reality. It's about working with those laws and stop trying to force the outcomes. When you do that, you start flowing towards your desired reality. Now, let's cover two laws that every single grounded man must master. And I've touched on them briefly already, but we'll go into more detail. So, number one is the law of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect, every effect has its cause. Right? So what does that mean? It means nothing just happens. Every result in your life is a direct outcome of actions that you've taken or failed to take. The universe is a perfect ledger. It keeps receipts. So everything in your life you have created by the actions that you've taken. So why does this matter in manifestation? Wishing without acting is just hoping. Right? The law of cause and effect demands that you plant the seed before you expect the harvest. And if we look at this through the ancient generals didn't pray for victory without a battle plan. They studied the terrain, prepared their soldiers, and executed with precision. Victory was the effect of the preparation, the strategy, and discipline, not by luck. So if you want more income, the cause is not visualizing more income. The cause is mastering your craft, expanding your network, and creating more value in the marketplace. Manifestation works when you become the cause of your desired effect. And the second one, the law of correspondence. As above, so below, as within, so without. So what does it mean? Your outer world is a mirror of your inner world. You can't expect stability, abundance, or respect externally if your inner world is chaotic, scarce, and self-disrespecting. Right? Most men try to get better results without becoming the better man first. Right? The law of correspondence says that's backwards. Change the man, and the results naturally change. Right? The samurais trained for hours alone, right? Polishing their discipline, their patience, and their skills in private before stepping into any public arena. The duel was won in the dojo, not on the battlefield. So, if you want a high quality partner, upgrade your standards, your health, your finances, and your emotional maturity first. The relationship you attract will correspond to the man that you've become. And how do these work together? Right, cause and effect ensures that you take the right external actions. Correspondence ensures that you make the internal upgrades so those actions stick. Together, they form a loop. Improve yourself internally, take aligned actions externally, the results you get reinforce the man that you're becoming. Right, the warriors, the kings, and the leaders of the past didn't manifest in the way that modern culture sells it. They mastered the laws, lived with discipline, and created their reality through the fusion of inner alignment and outer execution. That's your task as a man, to become both the cause and the correspondence for the life that you desire. Right? And let me give you my own personal example because so you know I'm not talking from a book. This is lived and learned experience. Everything I share, I've lived and I've learned myself. Right? And this was one of the most pivotal moments in my life. The moment where I stopped waiting for permission and started creating my own reality long before I understood what manifestation meant. Right? I was fresh out of rehab. Right? This was my third visit for addiction. Right? Came out of rehab. I had no job, no savings, no real plan. But you know what? While I was in there, I revisited a dream that I had, and it was becoming a barber and owning my own barber shop. But when I got out, the only thing that I had left of value was my car, my prized possession, my BMW. Right? That was no good to me. So I sold it. Right? I enrolled in this prestigious barbering academy in Scotland. Right? And despite having zero experience from day one, I made the decision. When I finish here, I am going to open and own my own barber shop. Now, keep in mind, I had no experience, I had no clients, no team, no capital. Not even my wife believed me when I said that. And do you know what? I don't blame her because let's be honest, my past history didn't really set me on a good standing, right? A man straight out of rehab talking about owning his own business sounds like a pipe dream, right? But seeing my eyes, that was no pipe dream. This was happening. And every time someone asked me, what are you going to do when you qualify? I gave them the same answer. I'm opening my own shop. People would laugh. Other trainees looked at me like I was delusional. But I had already seen it. In my mind, it already existed, down to the floor plan, the chairs, the vibe, even the colour of the walls, everything. So while others were planning which shop they wanted to work in, I was building the shop I was going to own in my mind, right? That's where I was doing it first. Then it would happen in real life. So for 6 straight months, I immersed myself in it. researching equipment, lighting, decor, customer experiences. I knew everything that I needed. I knew everything inside out before I even seen a premises. Right then, one morning, about 6 weeks before I graduated, I said to my wife, I'm going to go out and find a premises. And she laughed, but not in a cruel way. Just, she didn't think it was that easy. And, why would she believe me? But manifestation, I now know, doesn't require, easy. It requires alignment. So I went out that day to visit a specific shop, right? I went to see the shop. When I got there, the lady said that it had just been taken. But then the agent said, there's a shop across the road which had just became available. Do you want to see it? And I said, yeah, of course. So we went to that shop. I walked in and I nearly dropped to my knees. It was the exact layout I had designed months earlier. And I promise you not, because where it went in my designs, it went down there and then there was a step up, like there were steps up, and it had a top landing. And that was going to be my waiting area, my games room. And this is what this place had, right? It was down there, then it had steps up to an elevated landing. And it matched, the space matched, everything matched, right? That was not just luck, okay? That's step 1 and 2 in action. Clarifying the target, creating that structural tension. For 6 months straight, I had lived in that vision. I had researched the chairs, the flooring, the lighting, the mirrors, even the scent of the place. I felt the confidence of owning that shop every single day in my bones, even before I had the money or the keys. And then that was step number 3, the emotional frequency. I didn't wish for it. I became emotionally aligned with having it already. Yeah, I still didn't have the money. So guess what? I picked up the phone to my mum, explained my vision, the plan that I had. I told her that this shop was available and I was ready to move, except I had no money. A few hours later, she called me back. She said, son, listen, I can give you $5,000. That's all I've got. And you know what? That's all I needed to get started, to sign that lease. Because I was already living as the man who owned that shop. That's step number 4, the aligned identity. Then step number 5, take the next obvious action. So I got to work immediately, built the whole place out with the help from my brother-in-law, my father-in-law, decorated every inch based on the vision that I had already embodied. Red leather chairs with white stitching, scaffolding boards and timber for the reception, workbenches and feature wall, right? Red and black toolboxes, right? Vintage mirrors, skateboards, foosball table, PlayStation dartboard. The whole vision was brought to life exactly how I imagined it. In fact, probably better. Now, I did run out of money before it was finished, right? But see, by then, the only thing left to do was get a barber pole for outside and the shop sign. So I went ahead and opened anyway. And that was less than a week after graduating. In fact, to be specific, 5 days after graduating. And then with the money that I earned from the first week, I bought a barber pole and a sign. Now that shop would go on to be majorly successful with over 500 registered clients until I had my spiritual awakening and I sold it. And I sold it to focus on the vision that I'm creating right now, right? To use my wisdom and knowledge to positively impact millions of lives all over the world, right? And this is what I'm doing right now. This is part of my journey. And this is the thing a lot of men miss. See that? It never would have happened if I waited to have all the answers, all the resources. It happened because I aligned my thoughts, my beliefs, and my actions before reality gave me permission. That barbershop was born the moment I sold that BMW and claimed that vision. The rest was just cause and effect. That's manifestation, not as fantasy, but as execution. So if you want proof that stuff works, I was broke, I was fresh out of rehab, laughed at by nearly everyone I loved, but I followed the protocol without even knowing there was a protocol at the time. And guess what? It worked. So ask yourself, what vision have you been holding back on now? Because no one believes in it. And here's the thing you need to hear. You don't need their belief. You need alignment, clarity, emotion, identity, action, day after day, day after day. That's how you manifest like a man. So it's time for you to get to work. Because manifestation isn't a moment, it's a discipline. If you don't anchor it into your daily life, you'll drift back into default mode. Right? See, the men who consistently attract what matters, they don't wait for inspiration. They have a system, a set of daily non-negotiable actions that keep their thoughts, their beliefs, and their actions aligned. And let me give you an example of 3 things that you can implement in your life. Now, I use these and I've expanded to make my own non-negotiable, which is a bit bigger than this. It includes fitness, family, everything else. But these 3 ones can get you started. Number 1, the mental conditioning. So 10 minutes in the morning, write down your 3 priorities for that day and 1 that directly connects to your vision. right? Read your personal mission statement or your vision out loud. Sit and visualize you living in that place already. And then list 3 wins from the past 24 hours to reinforce self-belief. Right? This primes your reticular activating system to scan for opportunities that match your goals. You literally train your brain to hunt for alignment. Number 2, the evidence journal. This is 5 minutes in the evening. Before bed, write down 3 pieces of evidence that prove you're moving towards your goal. These can be small, right? It could be a new contact, an idea, a completed task, as long as you've shown progress towards your desired reality, your vision, right? This works because the subconscious responds to proof. The more you feed it evidence, the more it accepts your new reality as fact and then acts accordingly. Okay, last one, number 3. This is an action block, right? Identify the single most impactful thing you can do that day that moves you towards your goal, and then do it, right? Before you check your phone, reply to emails, before you get pulled into the world and distractions, do it, right? Because this anchors cause and effect into your day. You're not waiting for results, you're creating them right now. And then, as you should be doing with everything, track your progress, keep it simple, right? Have a little card, mental conditioning, evidence journaling, high value action, tick, tick, tick. And then review it every Sunday. Notice where you missed and why, and then adjust. Don't make excuses. At the end of the day, manifestation isn't about getting what you want. It's about becoming the man who naturally attracts it. The houses, the relationships, the family, the career, the car, the wealth, the health. Those are just reflections, proof in the mirror of the man that you've built inside. And this is the thing a lot of men don't want to face. You don't attract what you wish for. You don't even attract what you think you deserve. You attract what you are. So if your life isn't matching your vision, it's not because the universe isn't listening. It's because you're broadcasting on the wrong frequency, right? The alignment triad, right? Go back and rewatch this, right? As I said, get your notes out. Thought, belief, actions. Every single day, those 3 are telling the world exactly who you are and what you expect. And the world just simply sends it back to you. Right, so here's my challenge. From this day forward, live like the man whose vision is already reality. Speak it, walk it, make decisions as if the man you want to become is the one making the decisions. Because see, 1 year from now, you'll either be living the same story or you'll be standing in a life you built with discipline, clarity, action. Right, the legacy that you leave isn't stuff that you collect. It's the man that you become in the process. And that man will be the blueprint for your sons, your daughters, your brothers, your friends, your community, your wife, everyone. So ask yourself, am I living as a magnet for my highest reality or a signal jammer for my own dreams? The answer to that question will write the rest of your life. So if this hit you harder than the usual manifestation fluff, it's because you already know the truth. Your life is a reflection of who you are, not what you wish for. So here's what I want you to do right now. Drop in the comments below. What's one thing you're going to change this week to bring your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions into alignment? And see if you're serious about building the kind of life that doesn't need magic tricks, right? Needs discipline, clarity, and the laws that have worked for thousands of years. Then hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications. Right? We are building men who don't just dream, we execute. And if you're one of them, welcome, brother. We love to have you here. We truly do. So, as always, I truly love and appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. I don't think you understand that. You truly, truly inspire me to be the best version of myself. And I hope that I help you become the best version of yourself. As always, guys, I love you. Take care. And I'll catch you on the next one. We've got a video here and you can subscribe here. Take care.